Hi, welcome to BSV 10,000 Hours. If you are new to the channel, let me orientate you. So this video is currently part of our revision series where we are aiming to get certified on the Saylor Academy website, and we are continuing with our revision on lists and strings. But also you'll find a number of playlists on this channel that will help ease your learning journey. So the first of our playlists is Step 1, Python Basics. We also have a Step 2 series on Intermediate Python. We have a playlist on Web3 coding where we've already started applying what we've learned directly to Web3. And naturally, since I hold an LLB degree, I do have a playlist on the Web3 legal framework. Lastly, as you can probably tell from my background, I am into music. I'm a musician. So I actually have another YouTube channel, which is Study and Coding Music. It's a new channel. So if you're interested in music that will help you focus, study, work, or even just relax, you can check it out and consider supporting my channel. Without further ado, let's continue with our revision on strings. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. So these are some exercises we're going to look at to practice strings. And at this stage, we've covered a lot on indexing. So in the first exercise, we need to write a function called nested sum that takes a list of integers and adds up the elements from all the nested lists. For example, we have within this list called T, we have a nested list, which is this one here. Even this is a list within the list, even though it has only one element. And then, of course, we have 4, 5, and 6, which is also a list within this list. So the answer we will get is 21, which is obviously if you add these up. So if we go to our previous pages, I think what I'll maybe do is open up a separate tab. I also see it signed me out. Just want to find all the different functions and methods that we can use. So we know how to split. We learned about the delimiter. Delisting. So just do this. Let's just learn about Saylor. So adding up the elements of a list is such a common operation in Python that Python provides it as a built-in function sum. So we can simply say sum t. So we can now try that out. Let me log back in. Okay, we logged back in, and now I do need to go back to our exercise where we're going to try it out. Let's also open up our Replit Solon. Don't forget it's Replit with PryBar. Okay, now we're going to scroll through all the pages. We're getting there. So let's copy and paste this list to our Python code. And it's suggesting we use from what I understand, that looks to me like a variable name. Nested sum equals, we're basically going to say sum t. Looks like a nested sum. There's an underline here, so it seems like there could be a problem. Unsupported operand type plus int and list. We could say sum t0 plus sum, oh, don't forget our round bracket, sum t1 plus sum t2. So there's two elements in this list, sorry, two indexes. And then just see here, do we have an extra bracket? Yeah, that should maybe work now. We're looking for the answer 21, and that is what we get. I understand that practically this is probably not the best way of getting the solution because, well, you have to manually type each index, and imagine if there was like, you know, a 1,000 indices in this list. We could maybe try for a for loop for I in range len t. I don't know, I'm going along with what they're recommending. We want to take the sum I for I each index. We would take I as in the element, right? So we don't really want to add up the elements. We just want to work out the sum. Oh, there we go, Ti. Nested sum equals sum Ti. So it will sum equals, oh, syntax here is correct. Nested sum equals sum Ti, and then we would then add them up. So how would we then, I suppose we could say return nested sum. Doesn't want to do that, so we could say print nested sum. So let's just delete that. So that's, now we're getting closer, right? We've printed the individual sums, and now we want to basically calculate each of those. I wonder if we can say print sum nested sum. Doesn't want to work. Print nested sum. Now if we want to add up nested sum, so we're obviously missing a feature here. What if we just say plus nested sum? Will that work? Nested sum. I'm going to add those up. Nested sum. Maybe we need to initialize nested sum equals 0. And if we do that, then we can add it back. I guess that kind of works. It's just that it's done it as a loop. So it was 3. Then remember previously it was 3, so then it became 6. Then the final answer was 21. So in order for this part to work, we had to initialize nested sum, otherwise it was going to give us an error. They've also suggested, it seems like, yeah, they've suggested something. Let's see what happens if so let's just break our indentation. And why won't it let me do that? Yeah, there we go, nested sum T. Yeah, so they're not giving us the answers, hey? So those are the 2 ways we could do it. I'm not going to get too hung up on it, because also I don't suppose it would be fair for you watching the video to spend hours on one question. Write a function called cumSum that takes a list of numbers and returns the cumulative sum. That is a new list where the if element is the sum of the first plus one element from the original list. Well, that's actually what I just did. So let's just delete that and then copy this. Oh, you know what? I don't want to delete because my code was right. So now we're just going to say t equals 1, 2, 3. For I in range of the length t, we will say cumSum, sum, short for cumulative sum. It will be sum t I plus cumSum print cumSum. Don't forget it's looking funny here because we haven't initialized sum. So we need to initialize it to 0. Sum ti. What's the problem? Int object is not iterable. Did I give answers to these? Not really. So we are on exercise 2. So we need to sum t. Oh, that's why we don't need sum. We don't need the sum feature. Equals ti plus sum. Oh, made a typo here. Sum. So 136, 136. So that's what it would look like. Okay, it's a for loop because we're iterating over each element. That's what this basically means, t. And basically, we create a variable called cumSum, which takes the first element, whatever that value may be, and then we add cumSum. So if we start at 0, obviously it's going to be 0 plus 1, so it's 1. Then in the next case, we're now running over the second, right? So it would be 2 plus 1, so that's 3. And then 3 plus 3 plus 3, which is 6. Okay. Exercise 3. Write a function called middle that takes a list and returns a new list that contains all but the first and last elements. For example, so we want to do a function that takes a list and returns a new list that contains all but the first and last elements. So I know we have to use pop. We could probably use delete as well. So if we go back to our notes, let's just check what we need to do. So append is to add a new element. We're not looking to do that. Or to sort. We would like to, we could slice it. But I don't think slicing will help us create a new list. It will only modify, or not even modify, it will just give us what we want on our existing list. So we know lists are mutable. I'm wondering if I'm going the wrong way, because I think we're going the wrong way. Actually, I like the fact that there's exercises. You can't learn code just in theory, you've got to practice. Next methods. Append, sort. We can, to add up the numbers in a list, you can use a loop. This. Huh. So here's what our code would look like for our first exercise. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to quickly then just redo that. So we would say, so we create a function. That's what we miss. So we say define, or that's our function, nested sum t. And then we would say, don't forget we need to, looks like we still need to initialize. So we would say nested sum, or we would say I equals, let's do x equals 0. So we'd say 4x in t or x and t total plus equals x. Total plus equals x. Seems to have a problem with total. Oh, let's say I. For, oh my goodness. For I equals 0. For I in t, I equals for x and t. And then we would just say and nested sum. So by doing that, we're going to run or print the results. Function nested sum. So it didn't quite work. So we have our function name and our arguments. Let me just move this across. This is our list. So in this case, our list is t. So that looks correct. Then we have I over here, right? Which is the equivalent of this total, which is basically initialized to 0. And we say I plus equals x. And so that is what we say, I plus equals x. And then we say for x in t. For x in t, return total. Oh, perhaps that's why we need to say return I. It's not working. Okay, anyway, let's not, like I say, hark on it. So we also have an operation like this. Yeah, okay, we learned about reduce, we learned about capitalize, and filters, deleting. So we use dot pop if we don't specify what index we are popping or removing. In this case, it would be, I presume, if you leave it empty, yes, it will delete and return the last element. Let me move my mic, sorry. And then if you don't need to remove value, we don't need it because we're creating a new list. So I would think we're going to use delete. So you would say delete, and then you either need to know the index. If you know the element you want to remove but not the index, you can use remove. That's fine. We'll use delete, and then I'll show you how we can check. In any case, we don't want none because we want to create a new list. To remove more than one element, you can use delete with a slice index. As usual, the slice selects all the elements up to, but not including the second index. So we're going to delete 1 through to 5. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, with the result that we get A and F. So it looks like we're going to use a combination of delete and slicing. So if we want to check our, let me just reprint this. Needs to be a function. Oh, goodness. So let's paste that in there. And takes the list and returns a new list that contains all but the first and last element. P. I've actually forgotten how we print the length of T. So that's how we can find out how many elements are in here. Because we know there's 4, then we know that our last index will be 3. So again, if you're working with a list of like thousands, hundreds of thousands of elements, right? And you don't want to necessarily use remove because remove returns none. But you also, maybe you don't know, or it would just be tedious to see what the last actual element value is. Then you just work out the length of the string. So that will tell you how many elements. But the number of indexes, because you start counting indexes from 0, will be 1 less. So in this case, 3. So they want a function. So we would have to create a function called middle T. And what we need to do, it's telling us the answers. Return T write a function called middle that takes a list and returns a new list that contains all but the first and last elements. I don't know how we would create a new list, but let's say we tried that T, right? And then we starting at 1 because we won't start at 0 because we want to exclude the first element from the list. So we're going to start at 1. Now we know we're going to stop at 3, right? 0, 1, 2, 3 according to our index. And remember, it excludes the 4, so it'll automatically stop here. So we can put in 3. Then let's see. So return T 1, 1 through 3. So why is it giving us 4? Oh, we need to print. So let's print middle. And then press play. Function middle at. So that didn't work. What if we created an empty list, basically, and we say middle S, I think we're getting there, is basically, even though it's an empty string, we would say delete, and we take T and we delete one through to 4, right? It's going to stop at 3. Am I getting confused? Function middle. If we say return middle, but also I've got my understanding wrong. We're not using delete. First of all, we want to pop. And do we say pop dot? Here we'd say t dot pop. So t dot pop is equals t dot pop. And that would be for the last bit. And then we would, oh, that needs to be empty, don't forget. We leave that empty. We would also have to have t dot pop 0. And basically, S is going to be the new list. So let's keep this to T because it doesn't seem to like the fact that I'm calling it S. So what if we said something like S equals T, return S, print S, still empty. Middle T. What if we delete that? Name S is not defined. What have we learned? We've learned for loops, which will iterate. We don't need to iterate. While loops, it's not a loop. We just want to create a new list. And I don't think we even need to say T there because it's not a loop. So print middle and then just put an empty, I don't know, we'll leave it empty. We put in an empty list in here. Nope, definitely not. I'm not going to lie, I'm stuck on this one. It returns a new list. So what we'll do, we'll get some help on this one. For now, time's going quickly. These coding exercises take time. So I'm just going to run a short break for you guys. I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
That's fine, bro. You're the person that we make fun of. We take you and we take your chart and we make fun of it. We put the two charts next to each other and we cuckold you and we say, look, we're banging the mad games.
Currency. Collectively, central banks are working to issue in a new system, and that means destroying the purchasing power of the currency and bringing down an entire class of people with it.
Characterize Bitcoin as a digital currency. You can call it digital gold. You can call it digital cash. You can think of it as digital money. You can think of it as digital property. You can think of it as digital capital. You can think of it as digital energy. You can think of it as a digital asset.
couldn't just stop Bitcoin tomorrow. Liberty Reserve was shut down across 42 countries. Bitcoin can be like that, tomorrow banned. The way that they shut Liberty Reserve down was the Americans issued a financial services order. Anyone who took Liberty Reserve was banned from the banking system anywhere on earth. Basically, it means your whole company's wiped off the face of the earth. And they could do that. And they can do that to Bitcoin right now.
This is fun.
Welcome back. I'm going to see if we can get ChatGPT to help us. Hopefully it's actually working today, not like yesterday. It helped me with this coding exercise in Python. And ChatGPT is quite good at explaining all of this stuff. Looks quite simple. So we define middle list and we return lst 1 to -1. So we're going to return this list, right? And then basically, and it's 1, -1, because remember we are printing from index 1, counting forwards, right? And then negative is to count backwards, so -1 from the right to basically get the middle. And then we just have our list defined, and then we put that in T in as our argument. So let's try and write that out. So if we say define middle, and it will be lst, right? And we would say return lst square brackets because it's going to be a 1 and -1 to the right. And then we just print our list here, or copy it, sorry. And then we just basically call our function. So we would say middle t. So now if we run the code, it is giving us an error. Oh, we forgot our colon in our syntax. 2, 3. Exercise 4. Write a function called chop that takes a list, modifies it by removing the first and last elements, and returns none. For example, so we know that remove is how we basically return none. So we would have here into that. So we have, define, which is going to be our function, and it's going to be called chop t. And then what we're going to do is we're going to return t dot, I think it's remove. Let's just see here, remove. So for remove, we need to specify remove, or we can say t square bracket 0. And we are also going to, I don't know if we can say t dot remove t square brackets, and we're going to remove the third index. So it's not liking our syntax here. It's just this. So we want to take a list and modify it by removing the first and last elements, and returns none. So our list is T. Return T. And if we say chop T, I don't know, let's just see. Let's put in our list, and I think we can delete that, and let's run it. List index out of range. Maybe because we're modifying the list, we need to put it at the top. So remember, it's a function, so it's let's try 1, and let's try 4. Just try to be more specific. Now we want to return T. List object is not available, or list object is not callable. Again, I'm not too sure. The return value from remove is none. To remove more than one element, you can use delete. What if we say, find chop list, right? Then we say list equals T dot remove T1. It's not liking T, so we should say list. Okay. And we also want to remove 1. I don't know if we can use indexing because we need to remove more than 1. We need to remove the first and last elements. So I don't know what we can try. 1 to -1. Okay, we can try, and then we basically return list, right? Now, if we now put in our list, and then we call on our functions, we can say print chop T. Let's see if it works now. X not in list. Yeah. Okay, let's get some help on this one too. On this exercise. Basically, in this code, we need to make sure, I suppose, in order to remove the first and last elements, the length or the number of elements needs to be more than 1. So what we'll do, if that's the case, we will delete the first one, the first index, and we will also delete the last one, so it's negative because we're counting from the right. Else, list dot clear. If the list has 1 or 0 elements, clear the list. Return none. That makes sense. So we're going to try that again. So we will say define chop list, right? And we say that if list is greater than 1, okay, then we need to delete list lst 0, and we also need to delete lst negative 1. Okay. Else, I don't think it's a colon, sorry, we will say list dot clear. Yeah, don't forget, sorry, we need to put a colon and make that empty. And sorry, I'm spelling list wrong. List dot clear, and I think it needs to be indented here. Okay. And then we just need to return none. We need to return case sensitive none. So now if we paste in our list, sorry, and we say print top T, we should get none. So it says not supported instances, type error greater than not supported between instances of lists and ends. If list. Oh, I forgot, it must be the length of the list. That makes sense. No. That was slightly more complicated. Then I think we're going to do, there's 10 exercises, but we are going to go up to 5 for today. So we are going to write a function called isSorted that takes the list as a parameter and returns true if the list is sorted in ascending order and false otherwise. So let's revise our sorting. I can't remember now if it was to the right or the left. But if I recall correctly, it was dot sort. This page. Don't do this to me. Thank you. I think it was before. Sure. These pages are a little bit annoying because you can't like easily move where you want to go. So now you've got to manually find the page. Please don't be slow. Be close, I think. We learned about append, extend, sort. Sort arranges the elements of the list from low to high, so we would say T dot sort. Remember, if you accidentally write T equals T dot sort, you will be disappointed with the result. It's going to turn none. So our question is, write a function called isSorted that takes a list as a parameter and returns true if the list is sorted in ascending order and false otherwise. So we're going to call a new function and say we're going to call it isSorted and we're going to call it list, right? Let's just double check here. Now, I don't know why I chose a little red thingy there. So, yeah, it is sorted. So, if list dot sort, so we'd say list dot sort, correct? List dot sort. And we'll just leave it empty. Else, if else, right? Just want to see it, sorry, with my I wonder, does this return a Boolean value? List dot sort. Else, don't forget our indentation. So return true if the list and false otherwise. Else return true. Okay. Else return false. So what is the problem? If we try and run this, syntax error. Oh, I forgot our colon. Okay, what else is the problem? Indentation. Okay, so doesn't look too happy, these yellow lines or whatever. So now we're going to say print is sorted, and then we're going to enter in these two lists. I'm going to call them A equals our list of numbers and B equals BA, and that, let's print A, and it's C, false. Should be true because it's from smallest to biggest. So you know what I would do? I would say if our can be one of two things, right? If our list at index 0 is smaller than our list at index 1, okay? Also not sure why it's looking so miserable. Or so one of them must be true. But now how would you check strengths? I suppose it has to be, so you have to start with A if it's going to be alphabetical order. So list at element or index 0 is equal to A, return true, else return false. Invalid syntax. You know, I feel like I'm really close with this one. Oh, you know why? That's why. Got it. Oh goodness. Print is sorted B. False. We did it. Okay, I'm so excited. I was so sad. We were getting these wrong and I was needing ChatGPT. So let me just explain the logic. So you can tell here that we have an if statement. The condition needs to be true for something to happen, otherwise something else must happen. So we start by creating our function. And basically this is whatever our list name is going to be. In this case, it's A and B, right? When it comes to calling our function, we're going to call on the actual list name. So to check if it's in ascending order, as in from smallest to biggest, well, that can apply to two things. It can apply to numbers or to strings. So if we're applying it to numbers, naturally, without getting too hectic about it, the only thing you need to check is if the first element is smaller than the second element. So for the start of our if statement, we said that list at index 0 must be smaller than list at index 1. But now, that's not the only thing, because what if it's a string? So to compensate for it possibly being a string, we also said or the list at index 0 must equals A, because every alphabet is going to start at A. And if it doesn't, it means it's not in alphabetical order. Why did we use or? Well, we used or because only one of these has to be true. Okay. If we used and, we were going to probably run into an error, especially where we applied our function to list A because there's no strings, right? Or we wouldn't run into an error, maybe. I don't know. We can check it. Let's check it. Add. False, false. Yeah, okay, it's not an error, but it's obviously it's numbers, so it's not going to have A. So if the or just basically caters for the list either being a list of numbers or a list of letters, in either way it will apply the logic to either one. So the function caters for both. So and then it's quite simple. So this must be true, and if it's true, don't forget your colon, it will return true. And quite simply, if it's not true, it will just return false. That's it really. So now when we put in our two lists that we're going to check, then you call on your function, and in this case we're going to be applying our function to A, and then the same under here to B, true, false. I'm super chuffed. At least we got one right. And even for those that we didn't manage to do by ourselves, maybe you managed to. Let me know in the comments if you found it easy or hard. But as long as we can understand it, and of course, keep practicing, keep coding, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.